Folks, welcome to yet another episode from the TGV Global Speaker Series. And our guest for today is Simon Tratnik, and he's from Slovenia. Simon has learned from his own experiences the valuable lesson that creating a profitable product requires more than just aesthetics and assumptions. His journey began with a failed product launch that costed nearly 250k euros and yielded zero revenue. And this pivotal moment led Simon to shift his approach, emphasizing the importance of validating product ideas with real users before building them. Sounds interesting, isn't it? And now, as a product development expert, he's committed to helping teams channel their energy into a focused vision, reducing time to market uncertainty, and identify new market opportunities to stay ahead of the competition. And as we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, mastering product strategy, navigating technology trends, and accelerating success with Simon Tratnik, here's an exciting twist. Let us tickle his brain first. So, Simon, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind without thinking much. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get rolling. Here comes the first word. It is curiosity.
Having a desire to constant learning.
Creativity.
Creative confidence. Anybody can be creative.
Invention.
Act of creating something new to solve problem.
Future.
Future is bright.
Book.
Constant learning.
Movie.
A story.
Founder.
Usually a person with a vision.
Product.
Solution that solves a problem.
Universe.
One big party.
And the last one is startups.
First attempt to build a sustainable business.
Wow. First attempt to build a sustainable business. Loved it. Amazing. Amazing responses, Simon. And thank you for participating in the first rapid fire round so sportively. Really appreciate it. And there is one more rapid fire round waiting towards the end. And folks, welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place through valuable discussions that add value not only to your life, but also to your career. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Simon, you are our very first guest from Slovenia. Hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice and also the TGV Global Speaker Series. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
And it is a pleasure to have you part of our journey. And without further ado, let's get the ball rolling. Simon, let's start with your success mantra. So please share with our audience the top 3 things that have attributed to your success so far.
Yeah, good question. I would say I mentioned before the constant learning. I'm one of those people who never is satisfied with what I already know. So I'm trying to seek new knowledge. So I would say that was the big thing for me. The second thing was probably never be satisfied with the status quo. So a lot of times you hear people say, well, things are the way they are and we cannot do anything about it. Well, I'm never satisfied with that answer. I always think there's something more to it. So I would say that was huge. What else? Maybe finding and then adopting and changing and twisting some of the processes and methods and tools that can replicate the success, whether that is in a product space, service space, whatever. Mm-hmm. Basically, anything that can help you do things successfully on repeat.
Wow.
So that would be my top 3.
Excellent. So Simon, let's move forward and talk about your toughest lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur, because you have lost 250k euros in your startup. So please share your journey with us.
Yeah, I would actually expand on this.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the toughest lesson obviously was you're trying to build a product, and at the end of the day, you want people to basically buy your solution, which in hindsight, looking back, meaning, yeah, sure, might we might build a product that will solve a problem. So basically, delivery means delivering value, but in return, we'd also need to capture that value. So that means we need to get paid for it. Otherwise, it's just a charity. So the biggest lesson was, because I started with in the startup space. The biggest lesson was, okay, how can we monetize this? On one end, sure, we need to solve a problem for the end user, which was first big lesson. But the second one was probably even more, that if we cannot capture value in the return, then we don't have like a sustainable business. So that is not a good, I would say, product to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is really valid. Most of the time, startups try to give freebies. And as you rightly mentioned, I think it is not charity. We need to start monetizing it. And the sooner we monetize, the more we get motivated as well, or else we will lose interest as well, right? So I can resonate with you on that. Let's move forward
Yeah,
and
exactly.
talk. Yeah. Can you share a specific example from your career where a very well executed product strategy had a significant impact on a company's success, and what were the key elements that made it successful?
Yeah, good question. I would say I would pick up an example that the product strategy was not successful at first, but later on showed up as a good sign for a company. And I was working with one of the clients that is from New York. The company is called Notus, and they're basically building marketing platform for small and medium businesses that wants to grow through organic growth, with the help, obviously, with the Twitter platform. And what we did basically is we've defined the product strategy, and we didn't stuck just with, okay, this is like a document, one long document, and let's now build the product. Now we've tried to put it in as soon as possible in something more tangible, which means in our case, it was like a prototype that was tested with real people, target people that would use this platform. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening is the users did not understand the product at all. They did not see any value in it, which was shocking for the founders, because they thought, okay, we've built proof of concept, so the code is working. There are insights that are coming out from it. So the problem was why the target audience or why the target users don't see the value in it. And the problem was, there was few problems, but the majority of things were pointing to terminology, onboarding, how they even understand the product, try to grasp on what they can get out of the product. So they pivot the product into more educational platform. And maybe after a couple of years after, maybe they put more emphasis on the technology and the language they're using. But for first and foremost, the big problem was that people could not see the value. Mm-hmm. We validated that they don't see the value. We then pivoted, test again, and then we saw, okay, there is something to it. So we kind of validated the product strategy with a different concept, which in hindsight saved a lot of money, because we haven't spent any resources on a development in terms of coding that idea. So I would say that was the big lesson here, that okay, you can build a product strategy on paper, everything looks fine, but try to make it tangible and try to validate as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's just a plan, and you cannot do anything with plan, just a plan. You have to put in front of the end users at the end of the day, if you're building a product, obviously.
Superb. I think these are real nuggets of wisdom. And for those of you who are trying to build your products, I think we have a powerful message out here. Directly, you're listening it from the horse's mouth. So take it, guys. I think, Simon, this is great. Let's move forward with my next one. In this rapidly evolving tech industry, how do you stay updated on emerging trends and make sure that you are incorporating them into your product strategy?
Yeah, good question. Because I think your question is very valid at the moment when it comes to AI, for example, because before, AI it's existing for quite some time, but it wasn't as popular or mainstream topic as it is now. But the point I'm trying to make here is that before, when you have different other technologies, usually it was in burst of, I don't know, in months that one huge update came. Now with generative AI, and because the mass market is adopting it more and more, you see upgrades in weeks, which means from week to week something huge can happen, which is, for me, it's a little harder to stay on track, like what is happening. Obviously, you're trying to do your best, I'm trying to follow as much as newsletters as I can, like trying to read it, see if there's any value. But on the other hand, I don't think you can follow a trend without trying things. So what I'm trying to do, for example, with AI in this case, I'm trying to use it, see what is the value here. If it solves a problem in my process, does it boost my productivity? And obviously, a lot of tools do that job really well. Some of them, I don't think they're doing that good. But what I'm trying also do is then, okay, can we incorporate that into our process of working with clients? And I haven't, to be honest, I haven't added in a process with a client like, okay, that's part of the process. But we were exploring some things with generative AI, like, can we produce more solutions? See if there's any other connections with ideas that we haven't thought of. And I think it's a really good tool, but it is something that is also unpredictable at times. So I would say, when it comes to the AI, it's really good to try things, to see it, how it works, before you're trying to jump on a bandwagon and say, okay, that's the new way of working, basically.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense. I think it is like evaluating the product before you purchase it and make sure that whether or not it is right fit for you. I think that helps in making the decisions effectively. And moreover, since you are into consulting as well, it will help you recommend to your clients appropriately, and it makes absolute sense. Now let's move forward and talk about the common challenges that you have encountered in product strategy, and how have you overcome them to achieve your goals. I know this is covered already in bits and pieces, but I want you to summarize so that people can take this away.
Yeah, probably the biggest challenge, our common challenge, I would say, is not understanding what strategy even is. Like, just the strategy name, let's leave it out, like a product strategy. So I'm working in a relationship business, which means I provide services for clients, and one of the services is also product strategy sprint. And the biggest question I get is like, what do I get out of it? What is the output? Because they clearly don't understand what the strategy is. And I talk with a lot of people, so I see a trend. So what I usually try to explain to them, and I'll try to be brief because an analogy can go long and long. Imagine having like a basketball team. Do you watch basketball?
Not much, but I can understand a bit.
Okay. Okay. Try imagine just the two players on a basketball court.
Yeah.
You have offense, you have defense, and the offense player can score. So the goal is to score a basket, and the offensive player can have weaknesses and also strength.
Yeah.
So most likely, the best idea would be to play through strength, not through weaknesses, because then it might happen that the player is risking that he will lose the ball and the defense will get the ball, which is not a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways how you can score a basket, even if you have strength. But the big thing is that you want to spend as little resources as possible to do that, because the game is really long, like really long, and you want to spare as much energy as possible, and you don't have infinity of energy. Okay, those are just two players. Now imagine 5 players in the offense and 5 players in the defense. It can get complicated. So there's even more possibilities. So what I usually say the strategy is, it's a plan with a goal where you identify risk and opportunities worth exploring. And usually the clients then understand it. Okay, so the second biggest thing is the challenge is, okay, or aha moment for them is, okay, yeah, we don't have unlimited resources, so we have to spend it wisely. And then and only after that we start talking about, okay, it doesn't matter like what is the output, it's much more important like what do we want to achieve, so the outcome of it.
Got it. Very well explained, Simon. I loved the basketball analogy. So now let's talk about the balance between short-term goals and long-term goals, or short-term goals and long-term vision when developing a product strategy, and how can we navigate this challenge effectively?
Yeah, I've mentioned before, but still we have like a process where we try to tackle both, because on one end, usually when the client comes through the door, the client has a mission. We want to, I don't know, boost revenue. We want to decrease churn. We want to build a new product so that we get bigger market share or whatnot. And they have usually a clear picture of what the mission is. The problem usually what I see is, especially when it comes to like mature companies, is that vision is not as clear as one would think, or at least maybe the leader has the vision, which is usually the person that sees that thing, but the rest of the team doesn't see that vision, and then the leader has a problem, like how to communicate that. So how we try to address within the process is that, sure, we try to discover like challenges that you might face, but we also want to set a vision, like what is like a North Star where we're going. What we usually do is like a 2-year long-term goal, which is not too far, but it's not too close. So it's like, okay, that will be our North Star. So I wouldn't go like a long-term vision more than that, because we have to, at the end of the day, we have to set something in place. And I think in 2 years' time, a lot of things can change. So you have to adapt to the market. And 2 years in product, especially now when you have AI, is really long if you think of it. And then we try to find potential solution to that, generate ideas, prioritize solution, and try to validate those. So that would be like a short-term win where you can basically see if you're on the right course, and you can still correct it if you want to. So that's how I see that you should balance it, the long-term vision and the short-term goals.
That is clear. And the technology and everything is changing so rapidly, and so is the case with users as well. And that brings me to my next question. And it is also one other part of inspiration why I'm asking this question is, you said your company is right human first, and nowadays there is a lot of demand, or I would say focus on user-centered design, or you may call it as HCD or UCD, somebody call it as human-centered design also. So how does this approach influence your product strategy, and can you provide an example of how it has positively impacted a product?
Yeah, I think on one end, so we have three different aspects. So we have like a desirability, which is usually how the product is usable and valuable. Then we have like a technology, and then we have the business. So viability and feasibility. And I don't say we just only have to focus on the user and forget about those two. What I usually say to my clients is, let's start with the end user in mind and work backwards, because it will be much easier than to see, okay, if there is a person that has a problem and we have solution that addresses that problem, why not testing with them and see if we're on the right path?
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it, like a user-centered design. And I know, because I'm coming from the design background, so I was used to work in a product design, and we were always emphasizing user, and we almost always forget like the business side of it, because the business person came into through the door, said, okay, build me a product that will, I don't know, generate new revenue. And we always started like, okay, but what about the users? And then we over design just for the user, which usually meant that the development side had a lot of work to do, which meant a lot of resources. And then it meant, okay, so the business idea is not as good, because we will spend a lot of resources to build that. However, if we can balance those three out by actually inviting in our process, our design process, like a business person, the developer, the marketing person, customer success person, and other experts that are needed, then we can make informed decisions like how can we build the product for the end user with the end user in mind, and then work backwards and come with the best possible solution, and then test it with the users again.
Great. I think you're sharing all your wisdom with our audience, and this has been a fabulous conversation so far, and it's time for us to add some spice, some more excitement to the episode. So if you're ready, I'll trigger the second rapid fire round. Shall we get started?
Sure.
All right, here comes my first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
Good question. I don't know where that billboard would be, but let's say that the content is more important than the location. So I would say build and test new products by investing nothing more than 1 week instead of months.
Wow. Build and test products by investing 1 week, but not more than 1 month. Super. Yeah. Great. And what's a great product you have used so far? Anything?
I would say lately Airbnb. They've changed how they build product, and I think they elevated their user experience, and I think it's really good.
Awesome.
Compared to what it is on the market in their own category.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you now describe yourself in just one word?
A facilitator.
And if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be? And what is the one question you would ask them?
Oh, good one. I would say Steve Jobs. I would ask him, when do you know the product is ready? Because he was building products for years. I don't know when he drew a line like that's now we will launch it.
Maybe based on your responses or something, but I had a gut feel you would quote Steve Jobs.
I think he did really good products, and I
Indeed.
used them like a lot, but I still try to figure out those processes. Like it took them multiple years to build some of the things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, here comes the next bullet. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Probably to freeze time, because I think the day doesn't have enough hours, and yeah,
Okay.
that or multiple hands, so I can do more things at once.
Good one. And here comes the last one for the rapid fire. What is a piece of technology or innovation you wish existed but doesn't it?
Probably a mind meld headset, like that can instantly align different stakeholders in the room, that everybody can see their thoughts and ideas. And I think we could banish the phrase "let's circle back" on that to the history.
I love it. I think it is going to save tons of time. All you have to do is come into a room. I'm just imagining, if you remember Avatar movie, they try to attach those two tails, right? So likewise,
Yeah,
all of us should come together and just touch our heads, and we should get to
yeah,
download.
yeah. I only see the positive side. I don't think about negative.
No, that's good actually. Yeah, and it's been interesting rapid fire. Let's flip back to the mainstream. And lastly, what advice would you offer to aspiring product strategists looking to excel in their careers and make a meaningful impact in the industry?
Yeah, I think there's few things. I would say be curious. Like curiosity makes everything new and invites exploration, basically. I would say reframe problems, because reframing is how you can unstuck and also helps you make sure that you're working on the right problem, because sometimes we jump to solution right away. And I don't think that's a good thing always. And I would say try stuff. Like try to experiment, because you're going to be wrong more time than you're going to be right. And you want to get that part, the wrong part, out of the way quickly as possible. I would say experiment, and it's a journey. So it will not happen like instantly that you will find something really good. And lastly, I would say collaborate, because the product strategy or building the product is collaborative sport. It shouldn't be like siloed thing. So include your team when working on a product strategy to gain new perspective and also to get the buy-in from them.
Awesome, Simon. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And before I let you go, share with me, how is your experience being hosted on my platform, The Guiding Voice?
Good question. I think it was fun. I think it was different, because you have interesting words that invites interesting answers.
All right. And thank you so much for being part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. I really appreciate you taking time and joining me in this conversation and sharing tons of wisdom that you have accumulated or acquired over the last few years. And it is extremely insightful. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to many more conversations in future, Simon.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me.
All right. So it was a pleasure to host Simon and friends. That was our episode with Simon Tratnik. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request for you. If you haven't already subscribed to The Guiding Voice, please subscribe to our podcast from wherever you have tuned in, because subscribing keeps you updated on new episodes. And also, if you have enjoyed this conversation and found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like The Guiding Voice. So spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. All right, now it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode. So today's trivia is about Slovenia. After had a powerful conversation around product strategy and how to deal with emerging technology trends, I think Simon has shared a lot of insights And instead of complementing information related to product strategy, I thought of talking about the country from where Simon has joined us from. So it is about Slovenia. So here are the three lesser known and interesting facts about Slovenia. First one is beekeeping tradition. Slovenia has a rich tradition of beekeeping, and it is one of the very few countries in the world where beekeeping is a part of its cultural heritage. And the Carniolan honeybee, native to Slovenia, is one of the most popular and gentle bee species globally. And beekeeping is considered an essential part of the country's identity. Second fact is about vineyard haven. Slovenia is home to some of the oldest and largest vineyards, and the Zametovka grapevine, which grows in Maribor, is recognized by the Guinness World Records as the world's oldest wine, dating back to the 17th century. And Slovenia is also known for its diverse wine regions, producing high quality wines that often go unnoticed on the international stage. And the third one is about the oldest wooden wheel. In 2002, an archaeological discovery was made in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, that dates back to around 3500 BC. And the discovery is significant because it is considered to be the world's oldest preserved wooden wheel. It offers insights into early European technology and transportation methods. So these facts actually showcase the cultural and historical richness of Slovenia, making it a fascinating country to explore. So now at least I gave you some insights and about Slovenia. In case if you have come across any other interesting insights related to Slovenia, please pass them to me through YouTube. If you're watching it, you can comment there in the form of comments, share them in the form of comments, or if you have found this episode on social media platforms, you can comment there as well. I'm going to review them for sure. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, by taking your valuable time, and also for being part of our awesome community. Folks, we would love to hear from you. So do not hesitate to share your ideas, feedback, topic recommendations, and guest speaker suggestions either through our social media channels or through email. And our email address is theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. Let's create content that resonates with you so that you can get maximum value add out of it. I'm your host Naveen Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that improve not only your life but also your career. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the future holds great things because the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest.